In this video, we're going to look at two economic systems, capitalism and communism. We'll look at their key differences, their pros and cons, and finish off with a brief conclusion at the end. All right, let's get started. First up, we'll look at the definition of each term. Capitalism is an economic system in which the means of production are privately owned and operated for profit. It relies on a free market and competition to allocate resources and determine prices. In other words, supply and demand. The classic example of capitalism is the United States of America. Communism, on the other hand, is an economic system in which the means of production are owned by the state and the economy is planned and regulated by the government. The goal of communism is to create a classless society where everyone works for the common good of all people. The former Soviet Union and modern-day China are the best examples of this economic system. What are the key differences between these two economic systems? The first difference is who owns the factors of production. In capitalism, the private sector, or private individuals, own and control the factors of production. While in communism, the state or government owns and controls the factors of production. The second difference is how wealth is distributed. In capitalism, the distribution of wealth is determined by the free market, and individuals are rewarded based on their contributions. In other words, supply and demand. The more you produce and sell, the more profit you make. In communism, wealth or income is distributed equally among members of society. There is no class system. Everyone is equal. The third difference is the incentive to work hard. In capitalism, there is a strong incentive to work hard and be productive because your reward depends on it. If you produce more, you earn more profit. In communism, there is little incentive to work hard because your reward is the same regardless of your effort. And the fourth difference is the role of the government. In capitalism, the government's role is to protect private property, enforce contracts, and maintain a free market. In communism, the government's role is to plan and regulate the economy. Let's move on to the pros and cons of each system. Starting with capitalism. Capitalism has several advantages. It encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. People are motivated to start businesses and take risks because the potential rewards are unlimited. This leads to economic growth and higher living standards. It also provides more freedom and choice. Individuals are free to work where they want, when they want, and how they want. They also have a wide variety of goods and services to choose from. Capitalism also promotes efficiency. Businesses are constantly working to improve their products and processes to stay competitive. This results in lower prices and higher quality for consumers. On the negative side, capitalism can lead to inequality and poverty. When the system works, great. But when it doesn't, as during the Great Depression in the 1930s, some people end up with huge amounts of wealth, while others struggle to make ends meet. It can also create monopolies and cartels, which stifle competition and raise prices. Finally, capitalism can lead to environmental degradation. Businesses are often willing to sacrifice the environment for short-term profits. Moving on to communism, what are the pros? Well, it creates equality, and no one is denied basic necessities such as food, clothing, and shelter. It also eliminates exploitation because everyone is working for the common good. It also has the potential to be highly efficient, because the government can plan and regulate the economy to meet the needs of society. Now for the cons. Communism discourages innovation and entrepreneurship. There is little incentive to improve products or processes since the government owns everything. This leads to stagnation and lower living standards. It also restricts freedom and choice. Citizens are not free to work where they want or when they want. They also have limited access to goods and services. And finally, communist governments tend to be authoritarian and oppressive. The government has a lot of power and citizens have little freedom. So now that we've looked at the different characteristics of each system, as well as their pros and cons, let's summarize our findings. First, capitalism and communism are two very different economic systems with distinct characteristics, advantages, and disadvantages. There is no clear winner. Second, most countries today have a mixed economy, which combines elements of both capitalism and communism. For example, the United States has a capitalist economy with some government regulation. China has a communist economy with some free market elements. Third, The debate over capitalism versus communism is really a debate over inequality versus freedom. Capitalism tends to create more inequality, but also more freedom. Communism tends to create more equality, but also less freedom. Which is more important, equality or freedom? That's for you to decide. I hope this video was helpful. If you need help with any specific learning targets, check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.